I mean, was that the block on Book when he tried to get to the elbow? Was that just you just anticipating where he was going? That is kind of one of his spots. What was your mindset on that play?
Just a basketball play. Got lucky to not foul and block the shot. He made a couple tough ones beforehand, but I know I had to get my hand on one of them. Got a block and won a game.
Jimmy, what was the difference from down 13 with about 7 minutes to go and then the rest of the way? What changed for you guys?
Bam got hella aggressive, got to the line. Kyle was being Kyle, making sure everybody was comfortable. And then we got some stops. Finally started rebounding the basketball a little bit, getting to the open floor. And then we looked like a much better basketball team.
Jimmy, you get the stop there at the end. You get very emotional and go over and hug Spo. What'd you say to him? And I guess why was that the reaction?
Just because it's not going to be on offense every night for anybody, not just myself. We got so many guys that can score some buckets. But I love the fact that we won this game on the defensive end. And that's all that was. Let them know that, we can win any way, shape, or form. But this is a good one. It feels good to know that the reason that we really, really, really won the game is because we started rebounding and a little block.
Jimmy, you talked about getting those stops late in the fourth, but it was kind of leading into you guys pushing pace in general, and specifically Bam. When he specifically is doing that, what does that change for you guys in terms of Bam getting obviously downhill on the break?
Yeah, I think you really got to pay attention to everybody. Bam is always looking to get everybody involved, but then whenever he's attacking in the open floor, you got to guard the shooters. You got to know where Caleb is when he's cutting, when I'm cutting, and then it just gives Bam free range to be aggressive and get to the bucket, get to the free throw line, and to the midi if he wants to. So when he's playing like that, we're very difficult to beat. And on top of everything else, he's back there and being an anchor of defense. So it's a tough job to do, but he handles it well.
Jimmy, Devin Booker had the ball in every single possession in those last 30 seconds or so, which says a lot about the type of competitor he is. But you guys didn't shy away from it. You guys defended him, and you obviously got the win in defense. What does that say about you guys and your heart to defend in a situation like that?
That we can guard anybody as long as we're helping one another, knowing where everybody is on the floor. We know he's gonna have the ball, and we know he makes and takes tough shots. That's what really great players do in this league. He is one of those guys. But I think as long as we contest the shots without fouling, I did foul him one time, but just contest the shots and we'll live with the outcome.
Thank you, sir.
That end, or the dogged defense by Jimmy and what he did against Devin, who was just pulling shots out of anywhere. When you look at those two factors, does either one stand out more or both necessary?
Well, they're all necessary. I mean, those two guys are really the foundational heartbeat pieces, to our team. We follow their warrior spirits. They're just so tough. They're the epitome of being two-way basketball players. Bam does so many things for this basketball team that are obvious, and then there's equal amount of ones that the average fan has no idea, how he impacts winning. He anchors our defense. We can and have to do a lot of different schemes that he's able to execute at the highest level in this league. And yes, his assertiveness has been happening. And it's all been happening within the context of what we do. But him getting to the free throw line, him being able to put pressure on the rim, at the paint, on their defense was such a key factor going down the stretch. And those emotional boost plays, that he and Jimmy both just have a knack for. Jimmy, on the other end, really, he gives us that coherent trigger going down the stretch where we know where we can get the ball to. And then, from the very beginning of the game all the way to the end, Jimmy's not ever shying away from guarding the other team's best player. And that's the definition of a true two-way competitor. And Booker is a handful, as we all know. He's so skilled. He can get to wherever he wants to go to. He's got a great knack for putting the ball in the basket at all three levels. So you need somebody somebody like Jimmy with his ferocity, but also his brain. You just can't be running around all over the place against a guy like Booker. You have to be smart. And they're a really well-coached offensive team, so it's not like they're just running spread pick and rolls and you can get it all organized. They're running Booker off of different actions and disguising stuff, things that had us a little bit confused during the course of the game, and then we figured it out, the last 2 or 3 minutes.
Two things. Jimmy, was it his decision to pick up Booker in that last 7-minute stretch there, or whose decision was that?
From the tip. I mean, he wasn't there. Count the possessions. I don't know if there was many possessions where he wasn't guarding Book. That's Jimmy Butler for the course of his whole career. And look, you get veteran players after a certain period of time. Sometimes they want to rest. That's Jimmy's not wired like that. He comes alive against the best challenges in the league, and that's just who he is. He's a total throwback. A lot of guys would probably just want to wait till the fourth quarter, to be able to have to guard the other team's best player. He did it from the opening tip all the way to the end, and that's. If you're a basketball aficionado, you probably enjoyed seeing this kind of matchup. It's mano a mano. Great players on both sides, and that's a well-schooled, really well-coached team that they have institutional knowledge of how they want to play. So to be able to grind out and get a win after being down double digits just shows that we're starting slowly to develop the necessary grit and perseverance that's required in this league.
And then you mentioned how hard it is to guard them and, kind of rough defensively for portions of that game. But how important is it to you guys to win the game with a defensive possession?
Yeah, I just think all of it. Like, we had to make a bunch of plays on both sides of the floor under a lot of context and pressure. I think those are great moments for your basketball team. And they don't make it easy. I mean, I think I believe they're the only team that's in the top 5, 6 in both offense and defense. So you can't expect to play an average or even above average game and come out with a win. You have to do some special things, and we're able to make some big time plays defensively and turn those into emotional boosting plays on the other end.
It's about those defensive plays you're talking about. Was that last 5, 6, 7 minute stretch for who this team is and who's on this roster? Like, forgetting about comparing it to past teams now, is that style of defense, the aggression and the discipline we saw in the activity, was that basically an encapsulation of how they need to defend?
Yeah. 1, yes. 2, that's the history of this organization. It'll look a little different, with different personnel each year, but that's what we pride ourselves on. We're slowly getting there. We're not where we want to be, defensively, but we understand at least what our identity has to be.
Look at that fourth quarter run. It was a lot of pushing pace, specifically with Bam and other guys. Was that intentional that you guys wanted to push pace in the fourth? There was kind of flow of the game. It was just kind of playing to rhythm. Yeah,
we were able to get some stops those last 5 minutes. It's tough to really push pace. I mean, you can, obviously, in this league, but it's tough to do that if you're taking the ball out of the basket all the time. I thought that our offense in the first half was great. So was theirs. That was the problem. But they're also, you have two really good teams. So whoever was able to figure it out defensively and make more stops, they were able to do that in the third quarter and first 5, 6 minutes of the fourth quarter. They were really taking control of it, and I think they were doing a great job defensively, and they just executed their stuff and they arguably make as many tough shots as any team in this league, but that's what they do. So you can't just say, we'll give them that. That's what they do. But certainly the emotional boost from defensive stops and the respect that we have for their half-court defense, that led us into some really key plays that were kind of 4-on-4s or advantage plays off misses or steals.
You've played so many of these already this year, and whatever it's been, 14 games or whatever. How much comfort is there in these 3 minutes to go, 2-possession games that it just seems like almost all of them have?
Well, I'll tell you what, we probably had more discussions and film sessions and walkthroughs and practices and shoot-arounds of reviewing a myriad of late-game situations. I love it, for a basketball team, because you get real experiences to talk about instead of just hypotheticals. I think it's the fastest way for your team to get connected and really understand what wins and what also will help you lose a game. And when you really understand the urgency and level of focus and detail and connectivity early on from all these experiences, I just think based on experience, I think that helps your team.
Obviously, they couldn't do it because they needed Book to score at the end, but there were a lot of possessions tonight where Book got Bam on a switch and he just kind of passed off and took himself out of the play. Are possessions like that wins? If Bam and Book are both out of the play and it's 4-on-4 elsewhere?
Maybe potentially tonight. They were down a guy. I mean, they're down a Hall of Famer. That makes a difference. I thought their other guys played really well. It won't always turn out that way, but that's basically been the game plan. Probably, the last third of last season and then into this season. That's why we've probably had to adjust some things. Also based on the way this team is built.
Eric, when Bam is that aggressive, when he's imposing himself on the game like he did during that stretch of the fourth quarter, not just defensively but offensively also, do you think that the guys on this team feed off that? Because it does seem like there's a different energy when that happens that tends to propel runs for you guys.
He's just such a key player. He's such a winner. He's an absolute winner. He can morph into so many different roles for us, where he makes it look so much easier. To the average fan, everybody just wants him to score 40. That's not necessarily the whole deal, but him being understanding how to read defenses and what's necessary for this team and when to be assertive, when to create for others, when to set screens for guys. Look, I've never coached really somebody where there's been so many different responsibilities and then so many opinions about what he needs to do, and basically it's all about that final line of the box score. That doesn't tell the true tale of how he's able to impact. But that assertiveness and aggressiveness to the rim, he's a rugged player at his finest, like Jimmy. They're really so similar, just in different positions. And when he's able to make those kind of aggressive plays in the paint, at the rim, get to the free throw line, and that sets up some other things for him. He's really improved his pull-up jumper in the paint. That's a go-to shot for him. But he still creates so many opportunities for other guys as well. He's such a willing, serving player, and that's why everybody respects him so much in that locker room.
It seemed like they were challenging Max a lot and keeping him from getting really open looks. What did you notice about what they did effectively, and did that lead to your decision to put him and Duncan in at the same time?
No, we've been doing that basically all year with that second unit. I think that's ultimate respect that Max now is starting to get to, and I think that helps our team. You really have to game plan, and I say this out of full respect to Max, but that's what he's earned now, that you have to cover what he does in a shoot-around. It's irresponsible if you don't. And so you have to have a scheme for him coming off dribble handoffs, catch and shoots. When he sets screens, there's a lot of different things that he can do to help, our main guys. And then he also can just play off the ball and give guys space. But this is something he's really been developing and earning trust, with everybody, for a while. I love to see it. I love to see it now where teams are trying to take him out, specifically. I think that's a great sign of respect. Okay, thank you.